All right, so we're going to talk about breeding pairs of coyotes. Now, you go out into stand, you vocalize, and boom, you get that response. There's what your ear can hear is a breeding pair, male, female. Now, to the uneducated ear, I like to divide it by three. That's like, oh, there's got to be 12 coyotes out there. Divide it by three. That's usually the average number of what the uneducated hears. So three or four coyotes sounds like 12 coyotes. Your educated ear, as a predator hunter, you hear that mating pair. So the first thing that I like to preach when you get that audible response, how far away is it? Can you cut distance? Which way is the wind blowing? Do you have appropriate room to move? Do everything you possibly can to put yourself into the best perspective to actually see where that sound is coming from in accordance with which way the wind is blowing. So two coyotes answering you doesn't necessarily mean two coyotes are going to be coming into the call. Typically what we see in the field is one and then the other. So something to keep in mind when you have a pair vocalized back to your call, regardless of what you're doing. If you're throwing out a prey distress call or you're actually vocally communicating as a coyote, when you have one coyote coming and you physically have eyes on that coyote, watch the body language of that coyote. If that coyote is coming and it stops and it holds up and it's coming, but there's hesitation, if you see that head turn over the shoulder and it's looking behind it, guaranteed the mate is coming. 100% guaranteed every single time. If that coyote, that one coyote that you see coming to the call is on the approach and it holds up a little bit and it looks over its shoulder, the mate is coming 100% of the time. So just watch that body language. If you see any of that hesitation of a little bit of a head turn, the mate is coming. So just hold off at that point. If your wind is totally appropriate. Definitely there's been scenarios in the past where any other time you never take that shot, but sometimes one or none, because the wind direction is not conducive or there might be structure in the background and you have the landowner's house or a barn, some sort of structure in the background. Sometimes it turns into one or none. If you see that head turn over the shoulder, just hold up because definitely the mate is coming. So those pairs think differently, and quite often what we see is you get that pair vocalizing back to your call. Usually what we see, not always, but usually what we see is male in the lead, female behind. I don't know if it's I shouldn't say hard charging, but the confidence of the male checking on the female, coming into investigate a call. Usually what we see is the male in the lead and then checking on the female over the shoulder. So that one coyote that's in the lead is typically evaluating the scenario. That one's going to usually be the male, and that one is leading, and the second one is evaluating the scenario. A little bit more hesitation, following the lead of the leader that's looking over its shoulder. Is it safe to come out? And this is another reason why male versus female, and that male coming in, checking surroundings, evaluating scenario, making sure it's okay. But that second coyote is typically really visually, olfactory, and audibly inspecting the whole entire scenario. Is it safe to continue to move forward? So pairs of coyotes that we've seen typically respond a little bit slower to a call, a little bit more caution, but they're doing the same darn thing. Cutting distance on sound, but extremely cutting distance to the downwind. Less commitment to sound, but way more commitment to the downwind to really evaluate the scenario. So you really have to premeditate which way is the wind blowing and where you expect that coyote to come in before it gets to your scent cone. caution, more. Yeah, definitely. Pairs of coyotes. It's 2 sets of eyes, 2 sets of ears, 2 sets of noses, and they are definitely more calculated on how they're coming into that call using all of their senses. So definitely. A lone coyote investigates a lot faster, more commitment on sound. Still, they're committing towards the downwind, but they're definitely committing a lot more towards sound. Always premeditate everything to the downwind. That lone coyote doesn't have the mate, doesn't have the partner. There's more commitment to sound, definitely more commitment to the downwind, but more commitment to sound. Those single individual coyotes, I can definitely tell you from experience, I have a lot more head-on shots versus scapula shots on the shoulder, committing towards the downwind when we have multiple coyotes coming in. Treating every response the same. Yes. So here's a big thing. Treating every response the same can cost you opportunities. So when you got onto a stand, you vocalize, regardless of the call that you're utilizing, if you treat every single response and every single call the same, you're losing opportunity. So every single time you have the opportunity to cut distance, put boots on the ground, put yourself into a better perspective, don't necessarily think, I heard coyotes, I know where they are, and don't be lazy. Don't stay there, don't stay stationary and try to bring them to you. If you have the opportunity to cut distance on that coyote, 100% every single time, cut distance, cut proximity, and then revert back to those coaxing sounds, those lip squeaks, vol squeaks. If you're utilizing an e-collar, those coaxing sounds after you cut distance, absolute killer. And when pairs answer, they're negotiating. They're negotiating with each other. They're negotiating with you. Learn those vocalizations. Listen to the aggravation and tone that coyote's projecting back to you. What I like to do a lot is you treat that coyote like a turkey, you treat it like an elk, you give that vocalization right back to the coyote. If it's friendly and inviting, give it right back to him. If it's agitated, give it right back to him. Love doing this when I have a partner in the field. Have somebody drop back. Total turkey tactic, elk hunting tactic. Have your partner drop back. You give that same cadence of tone. They hear that sound 200 yards behind you. You leave your shooter up front. They have the absolute extreme optimistic chance for taking that coyote when your collar's dropping back. That collar just needs to give the same cadence of sound that coyote's giving you. We've had so much luck in the past with that. So pairs of coyotes and versus that lone coyote response, definitely more commitment to sound. Be prepared for the downwind. But when you have a pair of coyotes that vocalize back, there is way more commitment towards the downwind side because there's a lot of analytics that pair of coyotes are just analyzing. Olfactory, visual, and audible. But both of those scenarios, be prepared for the downwind shot. Those solo coyotes, I've had a lot more center of center. Those pairs of coyotes or multiple coyotes that come into a call, a lot more scapula shots where they're skirting the sound of the call, cheating towards the downwind.